As Ethiopia's government troops continue to wage war against rebel forces in the northern Tigray region, recent satellite images show the deployment of heavy weaponry near the Tigrayan border with Eritrea. Images collected on Monday, September 26th, show military forces, vehicles and artillery positions in the Tigrayan towns of Shiraro and Serha, possibly signaling a potential escalation of the conflict. For more on this latest news, I'm joined live via Skype from here in Washington by Paul Nantulia, a research specialist with the Africa Center for Strategic Studies. Paul, welcome back to Africa 54.
Thank you very much, Esther. Thanks for having me back yet again.
First of all, what do you make of this new development?
Well, three things, Esther. The first is the Ethiopian authorities certainly believe that they can win this conflict militarily. And I think ever since they had this counteroffensive against the TPLF, when it looked like the TPLF would converge on Addis Ababa, they have really beefed up their military position. So that is the first element. The second element is that the TPLF believe that they are fighting this is an existential threat. They feel that their community is going to be wiped out, and they have no choice but to hold out. And it is very alarming, the investigations that are being conducted by this special commission that has been set up by the UN Human Rights Council, which has indeed uncovered crimes that approach war crimes, including allegations of ethnic cleansing. So they believe they're fighting an existential battle. The third element is, I think it speaks to the failure of mediation efforts. There are a number of mediation efforts going on. There's one that's being led by Olusegun Obasanjo, by the African Union. There are mediation efforts that are being led by the United States, by the Special Envoy, Mark Hammer. And there is another mediation process that was launched by China, by the Chinese. And indeed, the Chinese and the American envoys have been on the ground in Ethiopia, both of them. But of course, the Chinese process is being run separately. But none of these efforts seem to have persuaded the parties to sit around the table. So I think these are the three main points, Esther.
One would be curious, Paul, to ask, why is Eritrea in this war? What is the interest?
Well, the Eritreans have a long-standing conflict with particularly the TPLF. When the TPLF was in power in Ethiopia, it was the senior partner at the time in the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front. And this war between Ethiopia and Eritrea, it created very, very serious and long-running tensions, some of which actually even border on the ethnic dimension between the Ethiopians and between the TPLF in particular, and the Eritrean government. So there is a sense on the part of Eritrea that they now have an opportunity, given that Abiy Ahmed has allowed them in to the country to help him in his battle against his former comrades in the TPLF. There's a sense within the Asmara regime, that finally they have an opportunity to settle this historical score that they have with the TPLF. So I think it complicates the situation, and it feeds into this sense within the TPLF that they're facing an existential crisis on multiple fronts.
Paul, thank you so much for your insight. Paul Nantulia is a research specialist with the Africa Center for Strategic Studies.